Hello there. This is the third episode of the Football Block. I'm here with guest speakers Nick and Christian. My name is Brandon. So today we're doing something a little different. We're doing it from home due to all the health concerns with the virus going around. And obviously there isn't much football to talk about, so we're going to do a brief recap of the first half of the second legs of the Champions League Round of 16 matches. And then after that, we got a few little creative activities we're going to go through. So without further ado, we're going to start off right here with Valencia and Atalanta. In my opinion, I thought this game was pretty interesting, but it was, I don't know, I always viewed Atalanta as the team going through. I never thought that their victory was in doubt. No, of course, their defense is a little porous. Valencia was able to score 3 times, but still, Ilicic scored 4 goals. He was an absolute 10 out of 10 performance. Valencia, attacking-wise, they weren't bad. Defensively, they're very poor, as they have been throughout the season. Their Atalanta's victory was never in doubt. Going forward, obviously, I don't know when the Champions League will resume, but if they continue playing the way they have been, they have the potential to upset a few of the big teams. I don't know if they will, just because of how chaotic they play and how their defense isn't the strongest. But I do think that they definitely have some exciting games in them, and they're definitely a team I would recommend watching. Any thoughts on that, Nick or Christian?
As you know, Brandon, I'm a pretty big Atalanta mark. I would say that if they just end the Champions League, they don't come back, then just give the trophy to Atalanta, mainly because they'll probably never have this good of a season again. But Ilicic was playing out of his mind. Granted, he did score a penalty for one of his 4 goals, but still, the other 3 goals I thought were pretty nice. And Atalanta definitely deserved to go through. I thought that they would, walk all over Valencia, and that was the case in really both legs.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, kind of the same here. I kind of saw them as like the Ajax of this campaign, because I know they kind of went super far, with Ajax and stuff, losing to Spurs. I mean, who loses to Spurs? But yeah, like I kind of saw them as that, and it's not that I'm shocked, but it's just completely unexpected, because obviously Atalanta is such a small such a small club that it's like you don't really expect them to do anything other than pass maybe the round of not even the group stage, honestly. But it definitely shocked me a lot to find out that they made it this far, and they're basically out of it onto what is it, the quarterfinals, or what is this, quarters, semis?
Yeah.
So they're doing a pretty good job, so I don't not a complaint. Pretty sure they might not make it past this one, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, who knows? So on from there, we have the next match of that series, which was Leipzig hosting Tottenham. Nick, how did this game go down?
Well, I actually wrote some notes down for this, and what I have written down on this piece of paper is just laughter, because as an Arsenal fan, that's what I take away from this match. I mean, Leipzig, I thought there was no doubt, but they had it from the first leg, and I knew that they were going to go through. And I mean, this game was really, I think, a microcosm of what Jose Mourinho, his time at Spurs and his place in coaching is right now, where someone newer and younger and fresher is just blowing by him, because Jose is not on the cutting edge of tactics. This is in 2007, so he's, I'd say, past it, but he's gonna credit to him, I guess he sticks to his same system, but I don't think it'll yield him any success. I think a guy like Nagelsmann from Leipzig, he's definitely, I think, the future of coaching. But I mean, the players on the pitch, Sabitzer played great. You don't want to say he put the game away at the first goal, but the second goal He definitely put it away, and then Forsberg completely iced it. Right at the end. So I mean, I think that Leipzig could have been a team really that probably would have been a better version of Atalanta. A small team that had a better shot at making the final. And I mean, I think that they really are dangerous both in Europe and in Germany in the years to come. I think this will be a really tough side, a side that'll win a lot of silverware in the near future.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. Leipzig, I thought they played extremely professional. This looked like a top-class team. And each year it seems that they get better and better. I think it's only a matter of time before they win the Bundesliga. It might even be this season. But then again, who knows how we'll go from here. But I think Leipzig is a team to watch out for this tournament. I just hope that in the next round or however they draw it or finish out the rest of the matches, I hope they don't draw Atalanta. I hope they draw someone else and Atalanta draws someone else. So there's a possibility that both of them make it to the semifinals. That'd be really cool, but who knows?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Leipzig is one of those teams that will come out of nowhere. Surprisingly, like I'm not surprised this happened. Spurs, especially under the change, from Poch over to Mourinho, it's a completely different system. So like, not only do you have to adapt to that specific system, because I mean, Poch was more, I would want to say more or less attack minded. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but more or less more attack minded. Jose's a little more defensive, and we've seen what he's done with the past with the teams. I mean, like Nick said, it's not 2007 anymore. We're expecting more offensive, more faster, quicker, quicker styles of football. I mean, Leipzig, having a lot of success at home, being able to not really dethrone Bayern, but still being able to put it to them. Because I mean, Bayern, let's face it, domestically they're not doing they're doing okay, but let's be honest, the youth of the team of Leipzig and the aging guys at Bayern, they're not really clicking, but that's beyond the point. But yeah, definitely, I see them probably going at least to like the semis, maybe even the finals. Honestly, I mean, Leipzig's a very strong team collectively. I mean, Sabitzer's really nice shot from the outside the box that I saw a couple weeks ago. That was really great. So they have a lot of talent, that's for sure. It's kind of it reminds me of seeing what's the other one? Salzburg. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Salzburg in a way, where they're gonna stick it to the bigger ones. Yeah, both Red Bull teams, which is kind of interesting. I don't understand why. I mean, I kind of understand why, but their name isn't Red Bull. It's Rasenballsport, which is Grassball Sport or something like that. Some weird 50+1 thing in Germany, but yeah.
Yeah, it has to do with the club can't own or sponsor the team. It's a whole lot of nonsense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yes, man.
So anyway, on from there, we have our next match. Liverpool against Atletico at Anfield. Now, Christian, you being a Liverpool fan, how did this match go down?
I expected this, honestly. I remember in an early edition, I remember commenting on a post, actually making a post myself on Facebook. I said Atletico's going to knock out Liverpool. I'm like, I already know this. We're, with this whole domestic success that we've had so far, I feel like we're letting off the gas a little bit. Obviously getting, the Club World Cup, getting the Champions League, and getting the, what is it, the Euro Cup or something like that, whatever thing it is. The Super Cup, yeah, the Super Cup. Yeah. I feel like we've stepped off of the gas way too much to the point where we're complacent. We've shown it against, Watford and stuff. I mean, where, who loses to a bottom table team? Especially one that, especially with 3-0 loss at home, that's kind of what got it rolling. I really didn't expect them to come back from this loss, honestly. Them being at home, I kind of expected a little more from them, but you could definitely see a lot of the different things and a lot of different styles that changed. The energy level definitely went down. Klopp's using a lot of the same guys and not really rotating them out so much. He's using the same guys in the league as the same thing as in the Champions League. He's using them pretty much the same. So that fatigue kind of catches up to the point where, yeah, you need to have a team. Because Atletico was playing amazing, great defense, great everything. Jano Black making a couple of saves as well, and that's kind of what the solidity of what we had. I mean, obviously, Adrian, I went home and I'm like, damn it, like Adrian just kind of screwed everything over for us. Because I mean, I don't know, like it kind of reminded me of like Karius in a way, but geez, it was absolutely like bad for Liverpool. But Atletico played really strong. I probably see them also going to the final as well. I see this being like an Atletico Leipzig final, and maybe them taking it because they're more or less the underdog. Well, besides Atalanta, but they're more or less like the next underdog from everyone else. That's what I think. But
Interesting take. For me, I mean, that'd be great to see Leipzig Atletico final. That'd be really cool. As for this match, though, I mean, I'm not really surprised that Atletico went through. I'm just surprised how it happened. Before the match, before the tie took place, before like the first leg happened, I thought Liverpool were going to go through, but a part of me still believed that the old Simeone would come out and then this would just be a classic like Atletico from the old days. And then that was exactly what happened the first leg. And then after they won 1-0, I knew that Atletico were gonna, just bunker down, grind out a win, and get through. But the second leg it was like, Wijnaldum got the first goal. Atletico just defended for their lives. Oblak was amazing. The whole back four was amazing. But then Firmino scored, and Liverpool arguably have the best offense in the world, so there's no shame in conceding to 2 goals to Liverpool. And I thought, okay, it's a shame Atletico's out, but Liverpool, they're the reigning champions, it's whatever. Then Adrian decided to pass the ball right to Felix, and then, his name's running out of my mind. Llorente just was amazing. 2 beautiful shots from outside the box, and then of course Morata went through. I was really surprised it happened like that. A lot of people were blaming Liverpool's offense for not scoring enough or missing, because to be fair, they did miss a few chances in the first half. But to that, I don't really think the blame's on them, because after Firmino scored, they were through. It was Adrian who, messed it up, and then of course after that, Liverpool's entire team just collapsed. So.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember, like after that first leg, I remember like going in our poli-sci class, probably not long after. I was and we were in agreement that this looked like the end of Liverpool's time as Champions League holders, and in this second leg, I mean, I think that Liverpool are actually a little unlucky, not to get it done. They put it off the pipe, I think 3 times. Oblak was on a madness. I think really Liverpool should have probably won the tie or the leg 2-0 in regulation. I think they had enough chances, but once Llorente got that first goal, it just looked like they were deflated, It just looked like Liverpool didn't have it after that, and I mean, I don't think this is a mentally weak team. I think this is, as Chris said, they don't rotate a lot, so this could just be physical fatigue, because they don't have the depth of Man City, where Man City can just plug and place anybody and they'll be fine. Liverpool really has 13 guys, and they don't really have defensive replacements, So I think they should have had it in regulation, but them, that first Llorente goal really undid it. And there's 2 guys that really stopped this, and that was Jan Oblak and the woodwork is what really stopped Liverpool from going through.
Yeah. And then who concedes? Yeah, who concedes to Morata as well? I mean, that was.
I agree.
That was the cherry on top to the elimination. I'm like, who the hell concedes to Morata? Honestly.
Yeah, if I'm being perfectly honest, once Morata was 1-on-1 with Adrian, I was like, oh, he's not going to score this. And then he did. I was like, oh, okay. That's first time for everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, on from there, we have our final match of recap today, and that is PSG hosting Dortmund. Now, this game, in my opinion, was a very dull game, but I kind of chalk that up to there being no fans in the stadium. It was a behind closed doors match, and PSG, I was impressed by PSG because, as you know, the past I think 3 years in a row they've choked in the round of 16, and for the past 5 years they've choked in the Champions League just in general. They would end the first leg in a advantageous position, and the second leg just shoot themselves in the foot. Now, this match, of course, they lost the first leg in Dortmund after Haaland had an amazing game. So this time, they really needed to show up, and they did. Their defense was rock solid. Thiago Silva and Marquinhos were amazing. And on the flip side, though, Dortmund's attack, which is usually vibrant and firing on all cylinders, just was extremely flat. I don't know if that was because of fatigue, maybe, or because of there being no fans in the stadium, but they just had barely any chances. Haaland was invisible. To be fair, he didn't have any service to him, but still, I can only recall him having one or two shots. I don't think either of them were on target. So I thought this game was relatively disappointing because PSG, they kind of showed up, got the job done, but again, their attack wasn't as vibrant either. They didn't smash Dortmund 5-0. It was 2 goals, 2 really smart goals, 2 very professionally taken, a diving header from Neymar off the corner, and then a really nice play to wrap it up 2-0. But then throughout the second half, there was a few chances here and there, but it wasn't a wide open game like the first leg. So, but overall, PSG did what they had to do. They broke their duck. They're now in the quarterfinals. So, yeah.
I guess I'll go. I think that Dortmund were really unlucky to not go through. I thought the second goal was very fluky. It bounced in off, I don't even know the guy's name, bouncing off the Dortmund player's ankle. I think Haaland, I saw there was one chance early in the game where he completely scuffed it and it went off target. I think he should have, slotted that home, and I think that would have been enough for them to go through. But yeah, I just think that Dortmund didn't necessarily deserve to, from what I saw and from what I remember, that they didn't deserve to, crash out. I thought it should have ended 1-1 as opposed to 2-0. I didn't think that PSG were that much better on the night. I thought that they kind of were beneficiaries of a lucky bounce. Granted, Neymar's goal looked to be pretty good, the header from close range, but yeah, I wasn't super convinced by PSG.
Yeah, from what I saw, honestly, Dortmund's defense on that corner absolutely bunched up in the middle. You have everyone clumped up. You see Axel Witsel in the middle, and Di Maria's corner was perfectly placed. You cannot place a perfectly, a more perfect corner. But from what I saw, they're really simple goals to stop. I really don't know what else to say, honestly, except for just, PSG kind of deserved this one to finally go through and, break their streak that they don't get past this. But, Dortmund had a couple of good chances. I know that's for sure. They seemed a little off on the night. They kind of tried doing it towards the end, and that goal was unlucky. The second was definitely unlucky, but that I don't know. I think it was just the atmosphere has a lot to do with it as well. Granted, they were playing. Where were they? They're playing in Paris, right? I think they were playing in. Yes, I see the thing. They're playing in Paris, but still, the atmosphere has a lot to do with it. I know that sometimes the pressure of things, whatnot, kind of gets to you. But yeah, kind of easy stuff that Dortmund kind of gave up, and some chances that were missed. I know I saw Haaland try and give a pass, but people getting in the way, simple shots that were missed, simple opportunities squandered. Honestly, so that's my overall take on that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I personally, I think it's a shame that Dortmund's out because Holland was on such a great streak. He's obviously the breakout star of this season. And it's a shame that we won't see him anymore in the Champions League. But I mean, to be fair to Paris, I mean, they weren't amazing, but they did what they had to do. So anyway, on from there. That is our recap of the first half of all the second leg of the Champions League games. And now we're going to move on to something else. Now, Christian had this, what I thought was really creative idea. So basically, we wrote up our most hated 11 now of our personal opinions. Our most hated 11, including manager and subs. So we're going to go to each person. They're going to run through their 11, explaining why each player is there, why they hate them exactly. So for me, I'll start out. Obviously, I'm a Barcelona fan and I'm American, so majority of my list is Real Madrid and Mexican players. So I'm gonna start out here in goalkeeper position. We have Thibaut Courtois. I mean, I don't know, this guy. You just look at him; he's easy to hate. He played at Chelsea, a team that I don't like very much. Not only that, he cheated on De Bruyne's girlfriend as well. He basically was the only reason that Brazil didn't go past the quarterfinals in the last World Cup. And then now he plays for Real Madrid, even though he used to play for Atletico Madrid. Atleti fans hate him now for that. So yeah, very easy to hate. Next in left back we have Marcos Alonso. Started off Real Madrid academy, went to Chelsea, two teams I don't like very much. But the worst part is that in 2011, I don't know if you guys know this, but he killed somebody in a drunk driving incident. So, not the most likable person. In center back, we have John Terry. I mean, kind of self-explanatory. John Terry is one of the most easily hateable people in football the past few decades. The whole incident with cheating on his teammate's wife. The whole coming out in the full kit after he didn't play the Champions League final. His shenanigans at the 2010 World Cup, all his antics in the media. So all that. Next, in the other center back, we have Sergio Ramos. Again, easily hateable, one of the most hated footballers out there. Don't really need to say much. Real Madrid, so many Real Madrid players, so many red cards. Every time there's El Clasico, he tries to physically kill Messi. In right back, we have Miguel Layún, Mexican right back. He's always scores against the U.S. whenever we play. Very arrogant guy. Just he stamped on Neymar in the World Cup as well. In center mid, we have Luka Modric, and Luka Modric. I don't really hate him as much as I just hate how people perceive him, because I think he's one of the most overrated players, especially since he won the Ballon d'Or in 2018. Granted, he had a great year, best player of the World Cup, no doubt, brought Croatia to the final, but still, he's not better than Messi or Ronaldo, even in 2018. The fact that he's the only guy to beat Messi or Ronaldo to the Ballon d'Or in the last 10 years is, I think, a travesty. And the fact that he has a Ballon d'Or while guys like Iniesta, Xavi, Wesley Sneijder, Frank Ribery, all these guys who had great years, they didn't get a Ballon d'Or, but Modric did. I think that's not fair. Our next position, other midfielder, we have Hector Herrera. Again, Mexican player, very easily hateable, very aggressive player. Always starts fights whenever it's a U.S.-Mexico game. Other center mid, it's central attacking mid. We have Luis Figo, again, as a Barcelona fan, one of the most easily hateable players. In the late 90s, early 2000s, Barcelona wasn't as great of a team as they are now. They're a decent team, but I would say maybe they're the level of maybe Dortmund, where Dortmund is now. And Luis Figo was their best player by far. He carried the team. But then Real Madrid offered him a lot of money, and he decided to switch over to Real Madrid. And yeah, Barcelona fans have hated him ever since. If you guys remember the famous pig head incident in El Clasico in 2002 or something. Left wing, we have Diego Lainez, another Mexican player. He's just, he's very arrogant. He's a young player. The last few times USA and Mexico played each other, he'd always try to show off with his showboating skills and stuff. Very annoying, extremely annoying. He also got in a fight with Matt Miazga. That was pretty funny to watch, actually. Right wing, we have Angel Di Maria. This guy, again, he's just very arrogant. Real Madrid player as well. PSG player, a team I also don't like very much. Every time, or the one time he played Barcelona and won 4-0, he did went up to the Barcelona fans and did the whole hand over his lips, all that stuff. Just really annoying guy. He did the same thing to Manchester United too last year, and then both times PSG bottled it, funnily enough. Now in striker, this one's a little controversial. I have Megan Rapinoe. I don't really know if she plays striker. I think she's more of a winger. I'm not going to get into politics here, but I just find her extremely obnoxious and annoying. Everything she says, even if you agree with what she says, like, why are you mixing politics and sports? Like, just keep it's supposed to be separate, To my manager, I have Jose Mourinho. Again, as a Barcelona fan, he's very easy to hate. And he was the manager of Inter. As Inter knocked out Barcelona, he did the whole thing where he went up to Pep Guardiola and whispered in his ear, and then ran around the Camp Nou as I believe it was the Camp Nou. Yeah, as Inter eliminated Barcelona. And then Real Madrid manager, he poked the one guy, the Barcelona coaching staff, in the eye. It caused all these fights and stuff, and he's just a very divisive person in the media. On to my subs. I won't spend a lot of time on these, but I have Pau Lopez as a backup goalkeeper. He's the Espanyol goalkeeper. He's the guy that stamped on Messi's leg that one time, caused a huge fight a few years ago. And I have Dante. Now, Dante, I don't really hate him as much as I hate his performances. This guy, I don't know how he was on the Bayern Munich team that won the treble in 2013. I don't really rate him as a footballer. I don't really think he's that good. I feel bad for him for the amount of criticism he received from the World Cup, because it wasn't all his fault after the 2014 World Cup. But still, he was very bad in that game. He was probably the worst player on the pitch. It was just an embarrassment. Next, I have Achraf Hakimi. I don't hate Hakimi as much, but my one friend hypes him up so much when he used to play for Real Madrid, saying he's like the greatest right back ever, and then he was terrible at Real Madrid. And now to be fair, he's pretty good at Dortmund now. He also just comes off as a little arrogant as well. Next I have Cesc Fabregas, who, while he used to play for Barcelona, he's an extremely lazy player. The first half of the season, I saw the study where the first half of the season he'll be amazing. He'll have tons and tons of assists. And then after Christmas break, he just drops off and does nothing. He's very lazy. Next, I have Mesut Ozil. Very similar type of player, very lazy at times, very inconsistent. Not only that, the whole thing with posing with Erdogan before the World Cup, and then quitting the German national team, causing all this controversy and stuff. Granted, he was criticized. He received a lot more criticism than he deserved, but still, he did not make the situation any more better. Next, we have Carlos Vela. As with a lot of the other Mexican players I mentioned, he's very annoying. He tried to compare himself to Zlatan, saying he was better than Zlatan. Great player, but it's just very annoying. And then after that, my last player in the subs, I have Mauro Icardi. Kind of, self-explanatory. Cheated on Maxi Lopez's wife and everything. Hated the fans, or hated the Inter fans, even though he was the captain of their team. He wrote a whole thing he had an autobiography saying how he hates all the Inter fans, and that's not cool. Come on, man, you shouldn't hate the fans of your own club. So yeah, that's my list there. My most hated 11 plus manager and subs. I will say most of these, almost all these guys, they're professional footballers. They're all good players. I just hate them and this list was hard to make because I don't really hate many players, so I exaggerated a little bit on some of these. But anyway, who wants to go next?
Nice. I'll go next. My list was a little it took me a while to get this list together because I know there's a lot of players that I don't specifically like. In goal, I have Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford is absolutely one of the most weirdest keepers that I've ever seen play ever. I know he was it last year before the Merseyside derby. He said, I won't mess up like Alisson did with Leicester." And what does he do? He doesn't. And he ends up not catching a ball. Ends up bouncing off the post. Origi, winning the Merseyside derby last minute. That's why I kind of don't specifically like him. Just an overall weird keeper. I feel like England deserves a better number one as well. You have like guys like Nick Pope. What's his name from Dean Henderson from Sheffield United. There's a lot of better keepers that England deserves, but they don't get because Jordan Pickford is apparently the greatest out of the bunch. I mean, you go from Joe Hart to Jordan Pickford, and it's just kind of weird. I mean, Hart had a weird, couple of seasons, but still, I just don't particularly like him for that reason, for those reasons. Sorry. So at left back, I have Alberto Moreno. Gosh, I swear, one of the most worst defenders that I've seen play. Well, then again, I've seen a lot of people, but he's one of the worst defenders that I've seen so far. As a Liverpool fan, when he would play, oh my gosh, I remember that 3-3 tie against Sevilla. I know that he was playing against his old club, which it kind of made it seem like he was being a little biased because that's kind of where he's from. So, giving off a penalty, giving off a free kick, the corner that he didn't mark, it was. It's just one of those performances that you don't like seeing, and then he goes on to say that he did great there. No, he didn't. Most of the times you had him play, Klopp always had the option of playing Andy Robertson, which Andy Robertson is way better defender than he is, and more collective and more adapted to the Klopp system. So that's why I don't like him. Sticking again to the same, even though myself being a Liverpool fan, center back Dejan Lovren. My gosh, Dejan Lovren proclaiming himself as the best center back in the world. I did not know if that was a joke or not, but I couldn't help but laugh. I don't necessarily hate him, it's just his lack of consistency in his performances when he's playing. He doesn't put up a good partnership with pretty much anyone, maybe just Matip at times, but I don't really hate him, it's just he just needs to kind of improve his game a little more. Center back, again, Brandon already said it, Sergio Ramos. Easy guy to hate, honestly, someone who is constantly aggressive on the field. I mean, there's a certain level of aggressivity that you can get on the field, but I feel like he takes it to like too extreme, breaking Salah's shoulder, trying to almost go after Messi in every single thing, just simple things like that. We probably could have had the Champions League in 2018. I mean, that kind of stopped Liverpool because we got kind of scared, but yeah, it's a reason to hate him. As a right back, I have Jordi Alba. So I know Brandon's a big Barca fan, but I just don't like Jordi Alba. Like, I feel like there's better right backs, in the world that he says that he can do better than. I just don't like him. I mean, no other specific reason than just that. Philip Lahm can do a better job. Well, he did after before he retired, but yeah, he did a better job, and yeah, can't really say much else. So now for my midfield. Oh my gosh. This is where it gets interesting, a little bit controversial. Pogba. Pogba's automatically the first guy that I can think of that I dislike a lot. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Like, he has great skill, great shots from outside the box, but let's face it. The only reason why he's at Manchester is because he's a brand. Shout out to my friend Ravi, who also says that, people catch the Pog virus, mainly because he's just a brand. I don't like the fact that he's too cocky in things. I feel like, Manchester needs a better midfield, to support everyone up front. They obviously need a better striker, which they need to find. They found it in Bruno Fernandes. But definitely, like, I just don't like that he tries to be so much of a brand. He likes to think of himself more as important than anything else when he's not really, like, a team person. Like, he portrays himself as a product as opposed to as a player, which, granted, these times is very commercial, but I'd rather have someone who's, a player for the club as opposed to a brand for the club because, But then again, managers and owners only care about, money and whatnot, whatever brings in the cash and whatever brings in everything to keep the club afloat. My take on the next one is Michael Bradley from the U.S. national team. I feel like he has the most boring style of football ever. Honestly, I don't enjoy watching the U.S. national team for that same reason. He has the ball. He's more of a defensive player, but I feel like he squanders a lot of opportunities and doesn't have that much vision to myself. I don't really see him as a very valuable player. Better in the midfield. Maybe like with a partnership with Dempsey and Donovan back in the days in the 2010 World Cup. There's a lot of chances that were missed. Especially right now in the qualifications as well. Like I feel like he retained the ball way too much to the point where he wasn't enabling anyone. Granted, none of these players from the U.S. national team play together. Very few of them do. But I feel like if there was more connectivity on the team, we need someone else that would be more cohesive and a leader. My next one, we're going to go back, all the way back. Hernan Crespo. Hernan Crespo obviously played for Chelsea, played for AC Milan. Very cocky, very cocky. Great player, but very cocky. I know that obviously him scoring both goals in the 2005 Champions League, I'm here as a Liverpool fan going back in time. Give me an A+ on my history. But, it's just very arrogant guy. Definitely, but, yeah. Next up front is my right wing. I put Sergio Aguero. Gosh. I think I don't like him because he scores too much. Like, all-round great player, but scores way too much to the point where it kind of gets annoying to see him score every single time. Like, I honestly don't know what else to say. Another player up front, my striker. I have no idea why I included him in here, but I'm guessing it's because I just don't like him at all. Benteke. Oh my gosh. Benteke, when he's, going on a goal drought for about 3 years, and then going with Palace and scoring one goal and celebrating like you just scored like a 90th minute winner to win the World Cup. That's what kind of irked me. Because, you're getting paid on the books to play and to score. You're not on the books just to stay there. I mean, there's still other players that are from different teams, like from Wolves and stuff, that actually score and get paid less than he does. And yet somehow Crystal Palace doesn't learn their lesson and keeps giving him contract renewals after contract renewals, which absolutely, to me, makes no sense whatsoever. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Another controversial up front, I'd say CR7. I don't like the guy. Honestly, not saying I'm a Messi fan. I personally don't like either of them. But neither do I like Neymar, just for the record as well. But Cristiano Ronaldo is like the absolute arrogant person. I get it. He's done everything pretty much to become Superman in a sport where it's basically a one-on-one match with Messi and competing with him. But there comes a point where, especially right now, I feel like, his form has been kind of obviously consistent. But at this point, I feel like he's getting older, and, maybe that's why, he feels like he can still do it at a big league. I feel like, him being at Juventus, it helps, but, it kind of brings that extra, I don't know how to describe it, but, like, that extra thing that, you don't want on a team. Like, I feel like, most managers now can't work with Ronaldo at all because he's just so arrogant, because he's like the greatest thing that since like sliced bread or something. Manager Mourinho. I mean, Mourinho, I don't like him because he benched Casillas. The feud with Casillas, basically, he's the reason why Casillas had his drop in form. Huge Casillas fan, grew up, liking him. But Mourinho pretty much started it, played Adan, and then when they bought Diego Lopez, he played Diego Lopez despite, him being in a 4-1 loss at Dortmund, which, was kind of embarrassing. I mean, but it happens. I just don't like how he demands respect for everything. If you're going to demand respect, I would say stay loyal to, like, a specific club or something. But he's been bouncing all over from club to club, where it's like he demands respect in the Premier League, but yet he's coached at, Chelsea, Man U, and now Spurs. So it's kind of seeing like you're just bouncing all over the place where you just want to be, coaching for no reason essentially. Bringing it down to my subs, Manuel Neuer as my sub and keeper. I'm not saying he's a bad keeper, but he tries too much to be like Oliver Kahn. Obviously, Bayern had that like point in time where they had like their struggles with their keeper. Essentially, being Germany's number one, I feel like he's had his time, and I feel like he's way past his prime. I feel like he should let someone else, take the spotlight. Ter Stegen is probably a better option than him right now, but he's still in. Why? No idea. He messed it up for Germany at the World Cup in 2018. 2018. But I feel like he didn't need to go up there. He plays too risky. I get it. He's the original sweeper keeper, but actually not the original because it's Oliver Kahn, but he tries to be so much like that where it kind of it gets annoying. It gets too risky, and you basically end up losing a lot of ground because of that. You're a keeper. Myself being a keeper, I know that I don't like going up so far because I know that there's always a possibility of a long shot or something. But yeah, that's kind of why I don't like him. Nuri Sahin, one of the most quiet guys in football. I don't have anything else to say about him. He's just a really quiet guy. Benjamin Mendy, I don't know. I just don't like him. He's a great player, but I just don't like him. I don't know why. I have no specific reason again with him too. Harry Maguire. Oh my gosh, Harry Maguire. Good old slab head. He's trying to basically justify himself as a expensive center back, but I kind of feel like I've seen better center backs go for more money. No one has gone for more money, but you know what I mean. Next one's Zlatan. Zlatan is funny, but it gets really annoying sometimes, where he keeps comparing himself to as the greatest thing ever. Doesn't have a Champions League, doesn't have a World Cup. I feel like that's probably a requirement for you to be able to be one of the best players, is being able to help out and not bail out and feel like you're the greatest thing ever. Since he's done a lot, but I feel like he could have done a lot more in each of his respective teams. Next one, Andriy Shevchenko. I feel like his time as Chelsea was ill spent. I think he could have done way better there, but hey, I don't know. And lastly, Alvaro Arbeloa. Weird center back, completely injured Casillas. It's his fault that Casillas broke his hand. So that's kind of why I hate him, because if not, Casillas would have had a better run and stuff and whatnot. But yeah, that's my take on my most hated 11 plus subs.
All right. I guess I'll get into mine. I even picked a formation that I hate, and it's because I see it all the time. It's like every single team in the Premier League, besides Wolves and Newcastle, play the 4-2-3-1, and I just hate seeing 6 games in a row with both teams playing the 4-2-3-1. Just someone to pick a different formation, but you're gonna see a theme with this squad as an Arsenal fan. So in goal you have Wojciech Szczesny. Now I started really watching in the 2014-15 season, and when Szczesny was here, he was trash. He was just awful, and then we sell him to Juventus, and he just becomes, he becomes really good, just all of a sudden, out of nowhere. He's just suddenly now this really good goalkeeper, and it was very frustrating that he was never able to even come close to the form he's had at Juve, when he was at Arsenal. Right back, we have Gary Neville. Now, you might be thinking, why Gary Neville? Well, because he decided to take shots at the GOAT, Don Robbie, and I'm a big AFTV fan, so I don't appreciate any Robbie Lyle slander, okay? And to be fair, Gary Neville got slapped in the mouth after he tried to take on the King. So that's why Gary's at right back. Now it seems a pretty normie pick. John Terry. Yeah, I mean, besides him, having an affair with Wayne Bridges' significant other, he also, I think he was part of that group of Chelsea players that harassed American tourists after 9/11. I think it was like him, Frank Lampard, and somebody else. But I mean, even just like look at his face, like he just looks like an unlikable guy. He just looks like a tool. Other center back, I had Sergio Ramos, but I thought better of that and replaced him with Laurent Koscielny. Now, this is another one that's, kind of just for Arsenal fans because, his level of performance was declining and he, even though I think he'd still be all right if he was at the club compared to what we have in the back line now, he threw this fit and refused to train with the team and, forced a move to Bordeaux. And in the unveiling video they had him wearing the Arsenal kit, and then which is a horrible kit that he was wearing in that video, but they had him take off the kit and then put on a Bordeaux kit, and he looked all smug and arrogant. It was, after all he did for us, and then he had to go out like that. It was pretty upsetting. Left back Ashley Cole. A guy that went to Chelsea from Arsenal. He was an invincible. He was Arsenal through and through, and then he sold us out. I think he also cheated on England's sweetheart Cheryl Cole, which, I don't really care, but, I can see where that upsets people. But, no, not say that I don't care about him, cheating on someone. That's bad. But, I think in the scheme of things, it's not as important to me. But yeah, and he was, it always hurts that, he leaves and he's still a good player. If he leaves for a rival, you hope he stinks up the joint, but he left and he was probably better than he was at Arsenal while at Chelsea. Deep lying center mid, I guess you'd say, Samir Nasri. At the time he was probably, I think you could say he was Arsenal's best player, and then he left and went to Man City just to sit on the bench and collect winners medals and just get paid. And to me that was incredibly spineless that he left, because Arsenal, they weren't great, but they had a chance to compete, and instead of wanting to stick it out and compete, he took the oil dollars from Man City and just decided to sit on the bench and get handed 2 league titles. Other deep-lying midfield player is Miralem Pjanic. Now, I don't actually hate Pjanic, but I hate, he's a figurehead for players that I hate. And this is something you see a lot in Italy and in Germany. And it's these players that play for upper mid-table to, teams that, aren't at the top, but they're close, and they will either run their contract down or they'll force a move to in Italy, Juventus, in Germany, Bayern Munich. And I think it's a really gutless thing to do, because they're really taking the easy way to winning a trophy. Pjanic did this when he was at Roma. I think Bernardeschi did something similar from Fiorentina. Higuain did something similar to go to Juventus from Napoli. And then in Germany you had Lewandowski, you had Götze. There's plenty of guys. The list goes on, but it's that player that's not willing to put in the effort at whatever club he is originally at, and just chase. And it's I'm gonna wind my contract down and sign for the big boy on a free. So that's why I have Pjanic in there. Right wing, I have Iron Robin. He's actually probably one of the only guys in this team that I absolutely hate. He makes my skin crawl. I hate this guy, and for me, the moment that did it was in the 2014 World Cup against Mexico. Blatant dive. That was awful. That I just stared at the team. I don't care about Mexico, but I mean I hate the Dutch, but I don't care about Mexico. And just because like I think it would have been nice to see Mexico knock off the Dutch, and just to see him dive in like the 90th minute or something and knock Mexico out. I just thought that was absolutely disgraceful. I mean, it doesn't help that he plays for Bayern, or I think he still plays for Bayern. I don't think he hung it up yet, but he plays for Bayern. He's Dutch. He played for Chelsea. There's nothing good going for Robben. Center attacking mid. The man, the myth, the legend, Mesut Ozil. I wanted this guy gone almost as soon as I became an Arsenal fan. This guy has been my scapegoat for like everything. And just as bad, something I hate just as much as Ozil are the Mesut Ozil defenders. We're like, oh, but he's not that lazy. Look at how much he sprinted in this game. Oh, look at how much he's run in this game. Look at all the meters he's covered. Like that doesn't matter, right? He disappears when it matters most. He's had one good season. He's not worth the price tag, and he should have been gone after his one good year, where even then he still, dropped the ball, and he still couldn't break the assist record when he had like 16 at Christmas or something ridiculous like that. He still messed it up. So Mesut Ozil in the middle. Now, left wing, a guy in a similar vein to Pjanic is Hulk, because while he didn't go to the big boys, he took the easy way out. He didn't ever go to a real league. He just kind of sat there and collected a paycheck in, small time leagues. He started off in Portugal with, I think it was Porto. What, was it Porto? Yeah. And, that's fine. That's a fine starting off point. I mean, Di Maria started with Benfica. But Di Maria, actually wanted to challenge himself, and he moved on to, real leagues. Hulk instead went to Russia, and then he went to China. So by him, he's just going to get the money. And you have these guys like Alex Teixeira. I mean, even though he was washed when he did it, Tevez, Graziano Pella. I mean, he was kind of washed when he went to China as well. But it's these guys that are going to these, softball leagues. It just look to, on big wages. It shows a lack of ambition. It's the opposite end of what guys like Pjanic did, but it's equally gutless. Up top, I have Olivier Giroud. He held those Arsenal teams back because they were actually good sides, but him up there, like, sure, he'd have an amazing goal like once every 5 games, and his highlights make him look like he's the best player in the history of soccer, the best player ever. But his inability to get this team over the hump when we've relied on him for, so many years. And then, I mean, I didn't have a problem with him going to Chelsea because I knew that he wasn't going to get a shot here, and I was like, fine, he goes to Chelsea, whatever. But then, scoring is just in the final. I don't know exactly what you said, but I heard that he, like, disrespected Arsenal kind of afterwards or something. I don't know, but his flash in the pan performances with Arsenal, and then just nothing, and holding us back, and yeah, so that's my reason for Giroud up top. On the bench, we have Harry Kane. Even though he's one of our own, he scores like every game against Arsenal. Granted, they're all like penalties, but he scores every game. We have then next Emmanuel Adebayor. Similar. He to like Nasri and Koscielny and Cole. He went to Man City, took the oil dollars, and then in like the first game he runs the length of the pitch to celebrate in front of the away fans, and then he goes to Spurs after going to Man City, which is just even worse. at least now he's playing, he sucks. He's playing in a fake league, so, I guess that's, you got what he deserved in the end. Next up, we have David Luiz, another current Arsenal man who has just been, I think he's been shocking this year. He's had, 2 good performances. Honestly, I think, Mustafi has looked miles better than David Luiz this season. He used to play for Chelsea. He beat us in the Europa League final last year, and they joined us. And he's been trash. I think he was, I put I'd say he's a big reason for why we lost to Olympiacos. His defending was fairly suspect, and that's putting it nicely. Next up, I did have Roy Keane in here, but I changed him out for Megan Rapinoe. Now she's like the other Iron Robin. She just makes my skin crawl. It's just the sight of her, kind of makes me have an uncomfortable reaction. But I'll leave it at that. Next up, I had Wayne. I had Wazza, but I changed it for Diego Costa, because every time he played against Arsenal, he would be grabbing. He'd be getting these he'd always get away with it too. And it was ridiculous. He should have gotten sent off 3 times. But he got what he deserved in the FA Cup final. I think that was his last game for Chelsea. I think when we beat him 2-1. When Olivier had a pretty nice finish or a nice assist or something. But Diego Costa. Next up, and this is my third of my figurehead players. This is Josie Altidore, and this guy represents all of the American men's national team, especially the ones that play in MLS, because these guys, and this is more what how the media props them up, because they make them seem like these guys are the best of the best, cream of the crop. That if you just turn on ESPN, it's Josie Altidore's leading the line with whoever the Bradley guy is, I don't even remember his first name, and Clint Dempsey, and they're acting like these guys, are going to lead us to World Cup glory, every time. But then I don't even know why I say I don't even like the American national team, but when they get eliminated, they act like this is huge shock when these guys, they're terrible. They play, this might be a bit of a hot take, but they play in a fake league, and I'm not going to respect the American national team until you get these guys, and I don't remember all their names, but there's a lot of young players in Germany, in the Bundesliga, that are American who look promising, and until those guys, start to fill up the roster spots, I'm not going to give this American men's national team any respect, because they don't deserve it. Just cause you beat up on Trinidad and Tobago in the Gold Cup doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything. You'd probably lose to Serbia if you had to play them in a tournament. So, Josie Altidore representing the American men's national team, the worst. And my last sub is Marcus Alonso. Now, I didn't even I didn't even put him down because he's a moron who got in a drunk driving accident and killed a girl. I just put him down because just looking at his face, I just hate looking at him. He just looks like such a jerk, and it doesn't help he plays for Chelsea and he scores all the time against Arsenal, and I don't even think he's that good, but it's just the look of him, he just he looks like the bad guy from an 80s teen movie, he's too suave for his own good. He just deserves a swift backhand to the face. And manager, seems to be a normie pick. I was gonna put Arsene Wenger because I really did, but I decided to put Jose because he's his. Now I actually like his style of football when it was working. I actually wish that Arsenal employed the defensive style, because I don't care how you win, just as long as you win. But his lack of respect for anyone else, when Porto beat United in the Champions League, when he was still the coach, running down the touchline like a moron, him getting in fights with Wenger, him, throwing all these verbal barbs at Wenger, and then when Wenger responds, acting like he's the victim, just his overall demeanor is disgraceful, to say the least. So Jose is the manager of my most hated 11.
Oh, that was interesting. I thought it was really funny how we all had Mourinho as our most hated manager. I mean, it makes sense. Like you said, I disagree. I hate his playing style. I mean, I'm a Barcelona fan, so it's just like the antithesis of what we do. But Christian, I thought it was really funny you had Michael Bradley, because I actually agree with you. I mean, I don't hate him, because I mean, I will admit, like, he's had some great performances. 2014 World Cup, 2010 World Cup, against Mexico that last time he scored that insane goal. Like, he's had like great performances, but as of right now, though, I really not hate him, but I really dislike him. I really don't know what he's still doing in the national team. I really think he's holding us back. And not only that, his replacement in the national team, Will Trapp, I think is even worse, because when Michael Bradley was Will Trapp's age, he was good. Will Trapp is like a younger-ish player, and he's not good at all. He cannot control the game. Like the game against Mexico with Diego Lainez. Diego Lainez just like ran all over Will Trapp and then thought he was like everything. But it's like, dude, it's like, okay, you broke Will Trapp's ankles with a big whoop-de-doo. But on that note, I think we're going to end it right there. I thought it was very good and interesting discussion. We talked about the first half of the second leg of all the round of 16 matches in the Champions League, as well as each of our most hated 11s. If you guys like what we did in this episode, make sure to leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, leave your own most hated 11s as well. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.